On a boat, you need to know how many miles your engine has done so that you can properly service it. Now, unlike cars, where cars show you the mileage that the vehicle has driven, with narrowboats, you need to know what your engine's run, because you've got no way of knowing how far the boat's travelled unless you fit something like a knot meter or something like that to your boat. But even then, your engine can still be running and you're not moving anywhere. So when you're in locks, or if you're just running your engine for electricity or hot water, your engine usually does a lot more miles than the actual vessel itself. So on most narrowboats, they have something like a tachometer, like tractors have. So that measures the amount of miles that the engine has done. Now, on our boat, for some stupid reason, there was never one fitted. So we don't know how many miles the engine has done. Luckily, the previous owner who bought the boat from new didn't do a huge amount of miles and kept a log of the miles that they had done. And we're the same at the minute. We've not done a huge amount of miles on our boat because we're mainly based in the marina. But hopefully we should be doing more miles. So I need to fit one of these, which is a tachometer basically. So it shows what the engine revs are, and it also comes on the bottom of how many miles the engine has done. This fits onto your alternator. Now, not all alternators will be able to run these. You need to have a little symbol next to an outlet on your alternator. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing with this. I'm just going off the instructions. This isn't a how-to video. I'm just documenting what I'm doing. So if I'm doing something completely wrong, please put in the comments below. Don't say, don't do it that way, do it this way, if it's something that I can't undo because I've already done it. So the first thing I need to do is decide where this is going to go. Now, this is all our instrument panels here. So this is our there's 12 volt sockets there for plugging stuff in, and a bit of a voltage meter, but we've got a more accurate one up there, a Victron one. This is our controls, forwards and backwards, and then we've got bilge pump, horn, headlight. This is the starting key, and then an instrument panel on there for low oil, the heater coils and things like that. And then this is our battery monitor and solar. So it's better off going round here somewhere so everything's together. So there's a couple of places I could put it, anywhere where there's this space, but directly behind here, which would be an ideal space, is all the controls for the throttle lever. Behind here is a little bit of wiring, so the only place it can go really is there. So it's underneath the instrument panel, so all the engine things are together. The only problem is when the key is in there, because we've got one of these little floaty things in case we drop it, it is going to be obscuring it a little bit, but it's no big deal. So I think that is where it's going to go. So it ties in with everything else. So now I need to drill a hole. So I'm using this to drill the hole, which is what I've also used to drill the hole in the floor of the boat to put the dinette table in as well. So I've measured it up so it's in the centre of the dials and the centre of the space that it's going in. So I've cut the hole out now, it's a little bit dusty. then just need to take the back thread off and just double check that it fits. So once it's pushed through, this is the back plate that goes behind and secures it in place so that it doesn't come back out. So there's quite a bit of thickness on that, but what I've cut out means there's loads of thread to go back onto it. So just double check that that fits. Which it does. So now I just need to do the wiring for it. So on the back of it are spade connectors, and then we've got one that goes to the alternator, one that goes to a negative to the ground, one that goes to the 12 volt, and there's also one for the backlight on it as well, which I will need to wire up to the ignition. So when the ignition's turned on, the light will come on and it doesn't stay on all the time. I don't know if you can see that on the camera there, but just next to this is the back of the alternator, or back of one of the alternators, and there's a little M or W, whichever way you're looking at it, just behind there. So this is the nut that needs to put this onto, which will fit on there. Then this wire needs to go to the back of the rev counter as the feed. So I've now attached that wire to the back of the alternator. So now I just need to run this cable with all the other wires from the alternator and then up through here to where the rev counter is. Right, so I've wired those up now. So this one is the feed to the back of the alternator, this one is the ground, and then I just need to plug the positive in, and we'll just see if it works before I end up wiring the backlight in. That's if I decide to wire that in. I don't really need it, to be honest. Right, so just put all the wires, that's not straight, is it? Right, I'm going to straighten that up because that'll do my head in. That'll do. Right, so I put all the wires in, and there's some numbers come on the bottom, which is a good sign. So now we just need to start the engine and see if the rev counter works. So that works. That's showing the revs that the engine's doing, and then it'll come on there how many hours the engine's run. This just needs synchronizing with the alternator. There is a button on the back of it so you can tweak it so it is showing the revs that the alternator is actually doing. So I need to have a play about with that, but that seems like it's working, so that's the job done.